we are having a bit of a kerfuffle, a big kerfuffle, at the school right now with rules in terms of games. We play dodgeball at our school, but we have these very special dodgeballs, don't worry. And they have this amazing technology where you can throw it hard and it will fly straight and true, which is something important if you're trying to get somebody out. But it's still somehow soft, and so when you get hit in the face, which doesn't happen that often, but it has happened to me, it doesn't hurt that much. So it's a game that everybody can participate in. And in fact, we have these games where 8th graders are playing in the same game as kindergartners. And the 8th graders, of course, don't target the kindergartners, ideally, but they have an understanding that, we're all playing this together. But sometimes the game becomes a little too competitive. And at any other school, that would be fine. You guys, the playground is your territory. You can do with it what you want. Living Wisdom School, to the chagrin of some of our students, is not that kind of school. We are looking for every opportunity to help people understand, essentially, divine laws, which is that when we cooperate, when we play together, we are actually happier. I'll briefly step away and come back to this. I was watching a video about curling. The Olympics are happening now. And for those of you familiar, it's the sport where you slide the rock down the way, and then they're sweeping the brooms. It's a very silly-looking sport. But it's actually a very impressive sport once you get to know it, and it requires a lot of finesse and all of this. But it's also one of the oldest sports. And in this sport, basically written into the actual rules, and this is if you're playing like with your friends on the weekend, all the way up to the Olympic level, is you have to shake hands at the beginning of the game with the opposing team. You have to give positive comments to their throws. You have to compliment when the other team does something well. And then at the end, and this applies more to them than it would probably to us playing this game, the winning team has to buy the losing team a round of beers. But that's built into the very nature of it. Now, it's held on for hundreds of years now. They think that it's possible that in Leonardo da Vinci's time, he might have played curling. It's that old of a sport. But why has that part lasted? It's because there's a fundamental truth to it. We are happier when we are in harmony, even with our opponents. We are happier when we share, when we enjoy. So coming back to the dodgeball, there was a controversial rule made that if you didn't compliment the person who got you out on how good their throw was, not only are you out, but the person next to you is out. Yeah. Nobody said it was easy. I mean, think about what happens to the old laws. If you disobey those laws, you're going to hell for eternity. So by comparison, this actually isn't that bad. But it still does sting. When you're in that moment, you're competitive, you want to play, it doesn't seem fair. But again, the laws are acting on something higher, a higher truth. They're meant to inspire a higher understanding. And so there was some kerfuffle about it, but we're getting through it. But what was interesting is a teacher handed me a poem that was written by a student many years ago at our school. And for every child who says, oh, this is unfair now, this is a new thing, it's never a new thing. Teachers have been making these rules for time immemorial. So this was written some years ago, and it was a child who was in middle school and had already gone through the process. And the poem, I don't remember the words of the poem, but it was basically the opening paragraph was something about, I'm there with all my friends, and we're moving in perfect synergy, and we're getting everybody out, and we're scoring the goals, and we're winning, and it feels amazing. And then next paragraph. Then a teacher speaks, and he says, you're not playing for fun. You're not playing with your friends. You're not having the right energy, and so therefore, I'm going to take all of your friends and move them to the other team. And this is a horrifying experience for the child. I was having fun. This was enjoyable. We were crushing with my friends. Now they're on the other team. So he goes through this third paragraph, existential angst about everything that's happening, how this is unfair, how this is wrong. And then next, he starts to notice, I'm actually having more fun. I'm actually enjoying myself more. I'm learning how to pass and how to give the assist rather than the goal. And the final thing is basically, how much happier is my life now that I know this? So we could stay right where we are, and we could stay this way for eternity. The science of reincarnation states that we get to keep doing this over and over and over again. We can plateau, but we don't want to. So this is the point of the law. But then Jesus gives us the update. Jesus says, yes, all that is important, but it was important to help you to understand. And now that you're at a higher level, you can now understand that the path is through love. He gives what's sometimes called the Great Commandment, which is a combination of two commandments, both from the laws of Moses, which is, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy mind, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy strength. And you should love your neighbor as yourself, and there is no other. These are the two most important laws that Jesus highlights. And what is he telling us? He's telling us that the secret to understanding the nature of our reality is to love God and to love our neighbor. And those things are interchangeable. Yogananda said that in order to truly understand the love of God, we have to love perfectly one person, one other soul. You can call it a soulmate or whatever you want, but we have to be able to learn how to love completely.